Yeah.
All right. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Erica Lynn Speaks podcast is a place where you can grow beyond your limitations and make an impact on the world. I am Erica Lynn. I will teach you how to take the restraints off of you, begin to live free, and become unstoppable. Go to ericalynnspeaks.com.
I say Erica Lynn Speaks. Erica Lynn Speaks.
Hello, hello, hello. She's back. You guys, I needed such much needed rest. I know you guys haven't seen me in 2 months, but I'm back. It took me a minute to get myself together, but I am glad to be back. And I am so happy that you guys are joining us today because we're going to have a wonderful podcast, informative podcast that will ultimately help change your life or someone else's life. You know, over the past several months, I know you guys was like, where's my girl, Erica Lynn? Well, listen, I always told y'all, even Erica Lynn needs to rest. Erica Lynn needs to relax. Erica Lynn needs to get herself together. Well, unfortunately, I lost my brother, and I knew he was ill, and we didn't know that he was going to pass so soon. And all of that kind of took a toll on me. I needed some time to regroup and get myself together. And then after the funeral was on a Saturday. And then that Tuesday, I caught COVID. And so I was quarantined in the bed, not feeling well. As many of you who may have had COVID know that it's not a good feeling. And so I spent my time going crazy, being isolated because the kids would just bring me some soup and leave and go to work and whatever. I was just like, oh my God, I don't know how I was able to make it through. But I thank God that I was blessed with friends and family that was there for me to help me to keep going so that I can come back and just bring stuff to you guys that's better than ever. So most important, I'm back. So I'm excited, you guys, for tonight's podcast because I had to bring some wonderful gentlemen on here that not only is going to share their story, but they're going to share some trials, some triumphs to you, with you to see how they made it through, because the things that they had to go through definitely was not easy. And I'm complaining about being quarantined for 14 days, man, and they were incarcerated for years. So my 14 days had nothing on the time that they had to spend in incarceration. So with further ado, I want you guys to get an opportunity to meet these wonderful men. And I'm going, as I bring them on stage, I'm going to give each one of them an opportunity to tell their story. I had a lot of people on social media when I posted the post about tonight's show. They really wanted to know, what's their story and how are they making it through now that they're home and no longer incarcerated. And so my first guest, he's a wonderful man. He helped me put it all together. I mean, the brother is bad. I said, okay. He said, I'm going to round these fellas up for you. Just send me the information. I get it together. And he was very helpful with helping me, in coming back and after being sick. And so I thank you. And so I want to bring on Larry Smith Jr. Hello, Larry.
Hello. How are you?
I am wonderful.
Just such a pleasure. I'm great. Just such a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So I want to introduce yourself.
My name.
Who you are.
Okay.
How long you've been incarcerated, and what you were incarcerated for?
My name is Larry Darnell Smith Jr. I spent 26 years, 10 months, and 7 days in the Michigan Department of Corrections for a crime I didn't commit, which was murder in the first degree and felony firearm.
Okay. And so you spent 27 years.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
can't even imagine. Like you hear me complaining about spending 2 weeks.
Yes, ma'am.
How are you able to make it through 27 years?
The best way I could, you know, faith, family, loss, joy. I mean, it just so much that go into just making it through a day. It's just no set regime of how I made it. It's just by the grace of the Creator.
Yes. And I'm sure you made a lot of associates that also helped you while you were in as well. Is that
Absolutely.
correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. My comrades that when we out here working now to bring people up out of that place and to give back to the people in society who loved on us. Yes.
Yeah. I think that's a really good thing that you're doing and the others as well. And so I'm going to bring another one of your comrades to the stage so that we can get everybody out here and get the ball rolling.
Yes, ma'am.
So you guys, I want you to welcome Kenneth Nixon to the stage. He has a remarkable story as well that he's going to share with you. Hello. Can you hear me, Kenneth?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
How
you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am wonderful. Can you tell everybody who you are? How long were you incarcerated? And what was the charge?
My name is Kenneth Nixon. I am currently the executive director of the National Organization of Exonerees. I was incarcerated 15 years and 9 months. I was exonerated February 18th of this year, just a little over 6 months ago. And I was charged with 2 counts of felony murder, 4 counts of attempted murder, and 1 count of arson.
Okay. And like just with those charges alone, for me as a person hearing those things, I would have just probably gave up before I even got started. Can you tell us how you made it through?
Just faith, hope, a whole lot of prayer, but giving up was not an option. Quitting was never an option. That just wasn't on the table.
Yeah, right. Because you had a family to come home to, correct?
Absolutely. I had family, I had kids, I had friends. I had a lot of support that were fighting for me on the other end. And I knew that I couldn't give up because if I gave up, they gave up. So, again, quitting was not an option.
Yeah. I hear you. And I commend you for not quitting, right? I commend you guys for doing what you're doing. And I want to bring one more person to the stage who also is commendable and has a story to tell this evening. We want to bring Greg Barry to the stage. Hello, Gregory. How are you?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I am wonderful. I want you to tell everybody who you are.
My name is
Gregory. How long
Gregory.
you were incarcerated, and what was the charge?
My name is Gregory Barry. I was incarcerated for 17 years, 2 months, and 2 days for a crime that I didn't commit. I was charged with first-degree premeditated murder, first-degree felony murder, assault with intent to rob by arm, and felony firearm.
Wow, that was a lot. That was a lot to deal with. When you guys talk about the charges that were thrown at you, I think about this movie that was out years ago, and it was one of Ice Cube's old movie, and Ricky, he was upset because life just was not going right, and he was just frustrated at just the way life was on the things that he had to deal with in the hood. I believe that was Boys in the Hood. There you go. That's the name of the movie. Did you guys ever see Boys in the Hood?
Yeah, I did.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's a classic, right?
You know it.
And so I was trying to figure out where the echo was coming from, and I know now because you got the microphone in there. So anyway. Okay. So you guys, I just want to thank you guys, first of all, for being willing to come on to the podcast and share your stories. I know you guys have been traveling all over, helping others and not just thinking about yourself. Let's talk a little bit about the program that you guys started or are part of once you got out of being incarcerated. And what is the name of the program, Larry?
The National Organization of Exonerees.
Mm-hmm.
And
go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying that the organization was, I guess it was started out of joy. It was started out of pain. It was started out of the desire to do what we had experienced and what we needed to be able to provide and hope to give somebody else that experience. Get that mother that ear, get that child that voice and that extra, you know, that attention that their parent can't give them. You know, just love on people. That's what, you know, basically started.
Okay. So, Ken, what are some of the things that you do in the National Organization of Exonerees?
We do a wide variety of things. We pass out food in the community. We advocate on behalf of people that are innocent in prison. We help get as much as we can. Conviction and integrity units started across the country. We give a voice to those that are incarcerated. We speak to injustice wherever we see it. You know, we're trying to be what we wished other people were for us when we were in their position.
Okay. So I know what the echo is. Does somebody else have the podcast on live on Facebook, on a telephone, or something else?
Hey, Larry, I'm
What is it?
Oh, he can't hear you. Your microphone is giving feedback. Sometimes when we have an echo, that means that you guys might have like the TV on, have the podcast on live on another thing, and it's giving feedback.
All right, hold on. All right, let me see. I'll be with y'all in 1 second. See if it's me.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Mike. So just tell him when he's about to talk, unmute it.
Okay.
And then when it goes back to your turn, then mute it.
Okay. You know? That's what I love about podcasts. I'm gonna be authentic and real. Like, that's life, right? We have technical difficulties. And so Larry, let me hear you talk and see if it's fixed.
Is it good?
Yes. Yeah. You had something else on. Okay, got it. So we're good to go now. We're good to go. Awesome. So anyway, for my audience that's joining in, you guys, if you have any questions for the Exonerees today, feel free to put them in the chat box, because the guys are open to answering your questions along with sharing their stories. So, Larry, so you were wrongfully convicted 27 years ago, but can you tell us a little bit more about your story, the things that you are able to share with us about your conviction?
Yeah, I was the victim of a jailhouse snitch. I was a victim of a bold detective. On March 24th, 1994, my mom called me. She told me that the police came by and wanted me to go to the police station. I don't think nothing about it. I'm at work. I work in Southfield on 10 Mile and Evergreen delivering oxygen tanks. I went down there, and it took 27 years for me to return.
Wow.
They said I made a statement. I didn't read it. I didn't write it. I didn't sign it. She misplaced it in somebody else's file for 5 months. And then on top of that, a guy who I never met before in my life said I confessed to him to a crime. And the prosecutor office said that he didn't have any relationship. He didn't get no deal. They didn't know him. But in reality, that was all just dishonest. He had a history. Matter of fact, it's a guy still in prison named Charlie Wilson, who was in 10 years prior to me, who was still serving the sentence based on the jailhouse snitch. So I'm just I just wish that they'd get it right down there. That guy been in prison 37, 38 years, and I did 27 years, and you would think in that process of that time that they would just get it right. And they still not get, you know.
Yeah. So what does it feel like to go in and not know if you're going to ever come out?
Horrible. It feels horrible. It's a horror story. You know, we say all the time that we ain't give up. We say all the time that we kept faith all the way through it. But only we know at night when everything shut down, if it was ever just so tight that we couldn't deal with it or how we had dealt with it. You know, the true feelings. because a lot of us, we got to be strong. You know, we can't just tell you how difficult it was to handle that situation. You know, people would look at us like probably not as strong as they look at us.
Yeah.
You know, we was able to persevere, but believe you me, that came with a horror story.
Yeah. And you can tell us some of those horror stories when we come back. I want to jump on over to Ken. Is Marvin? He's ready. Okay. So Ken, before I go to you, I'm going to bring Marvin on stage. He is in and ready to go. So
Nice.
you guys, we have another exoneree who also is part of your national organization of exonerees, and he makes a difference in society and to other inmates as well. So I want you to bring Marvin onto the stage. Hello,
Hey,
Marvin.
how you doing?
Okay, and you?
I'm great. I apologize for my lateness, but please blame it on the 20 years that I did in prison without technology.
Yes.
No, that's
Yes. When we first were going to do the podcast a couple months ago, Larry and I was told early on as someone that these guys have been gone for a long time. They're not technical savvy. And so I knew that, early on, but you guys did good. You got the lighting right. Your sound is good. You're
Right.
perfect.
Now, who was the person that told you that?
Look, I don't want to tell on nobody. No.
we need some receipts.
Yeah, no. And so everybody else came on, they told who they are, how long they were incarcerated, and what was the charge. Can you tell us that about you as well?
Yes. Well, my name is Marvin Cotton Jr., and I served 19 years, 7 months, and 12 days in prison for a crime I didn't commit. I was charged with first-degree murder and felony firearm. That's what I was subsequently convicted of. And I spent every day of that 19 years, 7 months, and 12 days fighting to get out of prison.
Yeah. And so what was that like for you?
Well, it's a very traumatic experience. Although Ken and Larry and I and some of our other brothers and our sister, we may not look like what we've been through, but it's very traumatic. You're in a constant war. That's what fighting for your life looks like. You're in a constant war, and oftentimes you're by yourself because nobody understands. You may have family support, you may have friends that's supporting you, but that time is on your back. And if you don't get it off, it's going to be you that die in there. And that's like a constant thought. Like, if I don't get this off of me, I'm going to die in here.
I can't even imagine how does that feel. You weren't on the podcast yet, but I was telling them I had COVID and I was quarantined for the 14 days, and that drove me crazy. I can't even imagine. Literally, I can't imagine. And so my prayers are going to always continue to go out to you guys, because I know that it's a challenge to get reacclimated into society, and that's what a lot of people want to know. And we'll go, to each one of you guys, and I want to know, like, what was your process? How did you get reacclimated into society once you were released? And we can start with Kenneth, since that's who we'd start with.
I mean, it was a difficult process. For me, my process was similar to my brothers here, but I came home with no vital documents. I was literally a baby. Like, they threw me out on the street. I had no vital documents. I had no ID, no birth certificate, no social security card. And mind you, I came home in the middle of COVID. So my process was extremely difficult and strenuous and, burdensome for a person that was starting completely open. I was starting from the bottom, and it was hard then, and it's still hard now, 6 months in, because the help is just, it's abysmal. It's not what people assume it to be. People think that when you're exonerated that you regain your name, you regain your citizenship, you regain your humanity. And in reality, none of that's true. They throw you out on the street. Yeah, we got it wrong. Here's your life back. See you later. None of that is the reality. Is what people see in the movies and on TV is a small glimpse of what actually happens. I'm still fighting to regain who I once was 6 months into this. I'm still fighting to rebirth a new life, I guess you can say, and start from scratch. I'm finding my place in society where I belong. That people have spent, I'm 35 years old. People have spent 20 years trying to figure out what their life is going to look like by the time, they get to this age. I'm starting
Yeah.
from the beginning right now. That's
Yeah.
a really
Yeah.
horrible feeling, for each and every one of us.
Yeah, I can see. And Sonya says that she commend all of you guys, and she thinks what you are doing to help others is awesome. Thank you for that comment, Sonya, because everybody needs to be commended, because it's not easy to go through what you guys went through to get here. Isn't that right, Gregory?
Man, it ain't been easy at all for me. Let me tell you. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your journey.
Like he said, this obtaining my social security card and license and birth certificates and everything like that. That's been a problem for me. And then then they marked me down as being deceased. When I got exonerated, they marked me down as being deceased instead of exonerated. So I've been going through hell just trying to get my proper paperwork to prove my identity and things of that nature. Not to mention they took advantage of me when the conviction unit got involved in my case and made a favorable recommendation to Kim Worthy to vacate my sentence of conviction. At the time, I had caught COVID, and in prison they were supposed to have step down units, like to where you be around other people who was recovering. Well, the unit I just had came from just got newly infested with COVID, and they sent me to a place where I was getting better at, to a place that was even more, dangerous for my risk of my life. So when I got over there, they told me that I could go home Friday if I took an accessory after the cop plea. Now I told them I ain't admitting to doing any, something that I didn't do, and I was very adamant on not taking a plea. However, they put me in a guy's cell who actually died from COVID. So I felt like my only chance of surviving and recovering from the virus was to take the plea, but I'm appealing it now though.
Okay. And so the guys who cell that you were in, he passed the COVID while you were sharing a cell with him?
No, he passed away before I even got in the cell.
Okay.
Yeah, they just had put me in that cell with him.
Yeah.
Well, the cell that he used to be in, rather.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I got it. Because when you catch COVID, people treat you like you got the plague. Yeah. I know my own kids, they had on the rubber gloves and the mask, and I was like, hey, I'm your mama. They's like, yeah, we'll see you in 14 days.
Yeah.
So yeah. Marvin, can you tell us a little bit about your journey, and how you made it through?
Well, a lot of us experience a lot when we release. Getting that driver's license is an essential, to rebuilding your life, and that's so difficult to get a driver's license when you don't have a social security card or a birth certificate, and they want a birth certificate to get a social security card, and they want a social security card in order to get a birth certificate and a driver's license, and when you don't have none of that, you find yourself running in a circle. Ken said it's like being a newborn baby. Well, even a newborn baby has a birth certificate and a social security card. So it's like coming from a grave, like you literally coming from a deathly situation. Prison is a graveyard, and you coming out trying to prove that you're alive now after you've spent so many years being dead. On top of that, you're trying to get to know your family. You think you know your family when you're in prison, and then you get around them all the time, and you start to realize that you have to get to know these strangers that you love. We spent years in prison, and we love our family and our friends, but we are really loving strangers, and we don't come out the same way we went in, so they getting to know us as well. Yeah. And they are in love with a stranger as well. So it can be it's very difficult with that. But I came out with the attitude of not getting acclimated to the way that things are. I didn't want to become normal to what I see in society. I actually wanted to do something quite different. I didn't want to seem like a weirdo, because everybody waiting on you to look like a weirdo when you get out of prison. But I didn't want to fall into what was normal because I didn't want to live a life that was normal. I wanted to get out and really make a difference, really, be a change maker. And I know in order to do that, I couldn't fall into what was normal. And fortunately, I've connected with a group of men, and it's a lot of us that's not on this show right now. That's very progressive, very aggressive, very proactive, very involved. We see something on the TV screen, something we want to get involved in. We get involved. No fear. I'm not afraid of anything. I left all that fear and everything in prison.
Yeah.
So that's been my journey. I've started my own business since I've been out. I work with my brothers in order to help we do more than just work on cases to help people that should be exonerated and helping those that are exonerated. We do more than just that.
Yeah. Yeah. So you guys are just remarkable. I'm like, I can't keep saying that enough, because sometimes life has a way of knocking you down, and sometimes people do not get back up from after being knocked down. But you guys are back up, making a difference, making a change, helping other people. And so is this National Organization of Exonerees, is it like a mentorship program as well, or you just help other people get out of jail, or the resources that they need?
We community. I mean, I take children to school. We feed families. This don't have none. We about helping the innocent, of course, free the innocent, free the medically frail, free the over sentence. But with each one of them, some come along with that. And for us to have an opportunity to be our first opportunity in society, that's what it is. It's a give back. So yeah, of course, we mentor the children. We look for anytime people reach out to us, or for every opportunity that we can reach out, or we see somewhere that we can fulfill to help somebody out. If it's just a parent who need assistance with transportation, they child need a ride to school. I mean, it's just the simple, smallest stuff that we do. And I think that is just great things. And I commend each one of these guys up here, because I know they don't have to be doing it. And I personally know 27 years worth of what them guys experience. So every time I get an opportunity, I thank them, and every one of them brothers that's not on here right now, because they don't have to do what they doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Gregory, do you have something to add to that?
I mean, I like to get more involved. Me and Larry are supposed to get together. We'll build on how I can get involved on some things. But like I say, I wasn't blessed as a lot of other people, man. They robbed me of compensating me through legal maneuvers. So I kind of been struggling out here. They threw me out here with nothing but the clothes on my back, But,
all of us. Hey, excuse me. This the one thing. None of us on this screen have received any form of compensation from the state.
That's crazy.
We all been bucking. And that's why, like I said, I commend y'all, because these guys work actual physical jobs. They started companies. I work a job. We started companies. We go across helping people out our own pocket. Some people assist us, and it's wonderful anytime we can get assistance. But it's just by the grace of the Creator to give us the type of strength to walk out of prison from the front door. I was there when Ken got out. Marvin was there for me. And it's a unification. It's just a wonderful thing, and we just appreciate you having us on here today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that was a no-brainer. I had to get myself together. I appreciate you guys even willing to come on here and tell your stories, and so that we can help other people. Because when Larry and I was doing the private interview so that we could do the commercial, one of the things that I had asked him was, can you tell me about an experience that you had that possibly changed your life while you were on the inside? And so I'd like to know that from all of you. And we'll start with Kenneth. Can you tell me a story about something that you've experienced or that you had while you were on the inside that helped change your life?
Change it for the better or for the worse?
For the better.
For the better, I think the moment that I was accepted by the Innocence Project and the Conviction Integrity Unit was that life-changing moment for me. that was the moment that reality began to set in, that there was a light on the other end of that tunnel. You know, for 15 years, I had been staring down the barrel of a shotgun. And, you know, when that point came, I knew that it was no longer a shotgun. There was no bullet coming out of the other end of it. You know, there was hope on the other end of that barrel. That was my moment to kind of rejuvenate and get my thoughts together, because I knew at some point in my future things were going to change.
Yes, well, that's good, and I'm glad that you are here to reap the rewards, right? The benefits of the change that you have made and making and still going to make, right, as you go forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we're going to go to Gregory.
I
Hey, Greg.
have to agree with him, man. I think the life-changing moment in my prison term was when the Conviction Integrity Unit took my case and got me out of there. I think it couldn't be no better than that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, is there, other than that, because when Larry and I were talking, he was telling me about a buddy of his that was wrongfully convicted, and he passed away before he was able to, be exonerated. But something like that, how does that have an impact on you, having inmate, friends and things happen to them while you guys are on the inside?
It's just sad, man, how the MDOC mishandled that whole pandemic. You know, they could have went about it a totally different way, and a lot of them guys would have been spared their lives, and that's just being real.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
sad, man. It's sad.
Yeah, I know, right? And a lot of people, because we lost a lot of people on the outside. I don't think really anybody knew how to handle the pandemic. But when I heard some of the stories of, inmates and that had COVID, I felt really bad for them, because whether you had COVID or not, sometimes you were forced to be around somebody who did, because there's nowhere really for you to go. Correct?
Correct, and that was the problem. They sent me back into a unit that nobody had COVID in, to pack my own property. What sense does that make? I'm like, what do y'all want me to spread this around to people or something?
Yeah.
It's just
right.
It's mind blowing, the things that they do in there, man. Really
Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to bring Larry on, and Larry, can you tell us? Can you tell us a story that helped change you for something you experienced on the inside?
Yeah. The host has, okay. Let's just go to the COVID situation, and that's in the facility that I was in. Something that really got me was 17 days prior to the entire facility coming down with COVID, the inspector put out a memorandum denying the staff to give us pure bleach. And that was a part of what had been keeping the COVID-19 off of us. 17 days later, the whole compound came down, was infected. So, that's just part of the process. When I came out of prison, I read almost 4 pages of names of wrongfully convicted people, medically frail people, over-sentenced people. And that was acquired over all these years of meeting people in a place where normally, when I first went to prison, you fought every day. It was fighting. Every day, pure D drama. Every day, to progress to a person who now I'm fighting for all of these prisoners, because I'm being wrong. So I'm fighting on behalf of us all because I'm being wrong. So that was like one of the moments in that place, to know that everybody couldn't step up and fight. Everybody didn't have a voice. Some people had done something and really thought that they supposed to be stepped on. Wow. So it just became for me, okay, brother, what can you do to help everybody? Well, I know individually I can't help everybody. So I started attacking policy, procedure, how things ran, how it was set up. And that's why we're here right now, to attack those things, to attack the Anti-Effective Death Penalty Act, to call on our supporters, to call on our community, to call on America at large, and ask the President of the United States to repeal the Anti-Effective Death Penalty Act, which is called the AEDPA. That's why we spent so many years in prison, because we knew we was innocent, and it was evidence to prove we was innocent. but they was able to sweep it under the rug with procedural bars. Not that we was guilty, but because we missed time limits. That's what most of our appeals said. So across this country is people suffering this way. So that's what me personally part of it. Not the fact that I seen people raped, not the fact that I seen people killed, not the fact that I had to take care of my business and step up to be a man when I was really just a boy. So that's part of with me.
I feel your passion. And your passion is so important because there's so many other young people out here that don't have a clue to what happens when you are around the wrong people or doing the wrong things, what the punishment or what happens when you just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And you guys are right here telling them, look, I experienced this. I went through this. I was at the wrong place at the wrong time. And they put me away for 15, 17, 20 years, 27 years. Like that's most of your life.
Yes, ma'am. And you know, you don't have to, and it's the thing about this stuff. It say that you have to be duly convicted. It don't say that you have to be guilty of a crime. That's not what the 13th Amendment say, for they can legally take your freedom. It just say that you got to be duly convicted of a crime. And these young people don't understand that. You hustle, you break the law, you work, you do these things in order to get you a pair of shoes. Let me give you a quick education on prison. Them shoes that you out here buffling, robbing, hurting people for, maybe even doing right for. That pair of shoes that cost you $50 in prison, it's gonna take you around 10 months because you're only gonna get $50 a month. And out of that, you're gonna have to get hygiene, you're gonna have to get stamps, you're gonna have to get food. And if you're lucky, somebody gonna give you a pair of shoes. And if you're lucky, only maybe 3 or 4 people gonna be able to wear those shoes first. In most instances, you wear a pair of shoes that 7 other people wore first. Come on now, just make that make sense. Why would you want to rush up and do crime to get in there and wear some shoes that somebody else wore first? Don't make sense.
Wow. Thank you for that message, Larry, because the youth today, sometimes I see them going in the wrong direction. And every time I come across youth, whether they're riding with me, whether I'm mentoring them, boys and girls, young men, young women, I'm always trying to drop some nuggets because it's our generation's responsibility to reach out and help them. And sometimes when you can't reach them, it is our job to figure out what creative way that we can do to get through to them so that they don't have to make the same mistakes that we did. I'm all for young people bumping their heads sometimes, but if you can prevent them from doing 27 years, then let me step in, let me help you. And so I appreciate you guys for sharing that information. Marvin, I want to know, I want to know what was the one thing that helped, change you or change you for the better, or that encouraged you and inspired you.
Reading, reading books, within the 20 years that I was in prison, I read nearly 2,000 books. With every book that I read, it actually opened my mind up to think different and be different. Even though the way I was didn't lead me to prison, because I was in prison for something I didn't do. But while I was in there, I actually used my time wisely. I read books, I wrote, but almost equal to reading books, having conversations with some of the brilliant minds that's locked in prison, because there's some brilliant, beautiful minds in prison, but debating with some of those people and talking ideas and concepts and teaching, mentoring, and being mentored by some of the beautiful minds and the complex minds that's locked in prison. Actually, I was able to take all of the good from that. I was able to gain a deeper discipline that I apply to my life right now today from living in that environment for 20 years. Of course, life out here is different, but a lot of the principles that I learned in prison, and I believe the same is true for everybody on this call, we can apply, and we have applied to living out here, and it's made us better for it.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. We're going to bring all the guys back on. I want you to leave them all on. You don't have to take them off, because I want everybody to get an opportunity to see these strong Black men, powerful Black men. I was so excited to have you guys come on the podcast because, oftentimes, because I'm a woman, I got to be a girl, right? I got to do girl stuff. We like, women are like, well, we can't find a husband. We can't find a boyfriend. Most of our Black men are incarcerated. And I'm just happy to see you guys back out here in the world, with being able to have children, your wives, be with your families. And Marvin, you had said something about the other inmates that you got an opportunity to connect with. And there's an inmate that has been behind a lot of everything that Erica Lynn does, and people don't know it. I often talk about him. I want you to go over to the brand. And we're going to pull him up. So I often talk about him because I talk to him quite often. And I mean, first of all, I never knew people on the inside had so many connections. Okay. Because, like, I'm connected to a lot of stuff, and I'm like, so people will be surprised at things that I experience or get to see because of. Did you cut it off? Oh, it's still on. The things that I get to see, because of being connected to people on the inside, and so that's pretty cool. We're going to. You got it. We're doing it. Look, there we go. So what I want to do is, this has been a crazy podcast. We always got stuff going on. So anyway, I want to bring him on. I want you guys to get an opportunity to hear from the gentleman that I talk to quite often. And he's going to just tell you who he is and a little bit about himself. Let's welcome Ricardo Ferrell. And he is actually still on the inside right now.
Listeners who don't know who you are, I just want to take a second and tell them your name, who you are, and if you don't mind sharing why you were incarcerated.
Okay, yes, my name is Ricardo Ferrell. I'm 63 years old. I'm from Detroit. I've been incarcerated for 40 years, since 1981, for second-degree murder out of Wayne County. And since my incarceration, I've been through a bunch of ups and downs, a few bumps in the road. But like for the last 10 or 15 years, I really got myself together. And what kind of like made me start looking at covering these cases and stuff like that and writing about them was, as you know, I'm a field editor for the Voice Detroit, an independent online newspaper. Because I had a friend that was in here that never had an opportunity to prove his innocence. So that's kind of like why, I write about those who've been wrongfully convicted. Yes. Yes. Okay. Aside from not receiving a fair trial because of illegal coercive tactics by former homicide detective in my case, and a grave instance of prosecutorial misconduct by the assistant prosecutor before and during my trial, which calls into question the integrity of my conviction. I have written extensively covering those who were wrongfully convicted and unlawfully imprisoned for crimes that were later discovered they did not commit, and how it would be a disgrace to the criminal justice and judicial system if such convictions were allowed to stand. I always reference an article in the Detroit Free Press where Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy steps up and says, "No prosecutor wants to be party to knowingly convicting or keeping someone in prison that is either factually not guilty or a case we can't sustain," Worthy said in 2017. Since the exception of the Wayne County Conviction Integrity Unit in 2018, some 30 wrongfully convicted people have been exonerated, and Worthy has vowed to review others who are innocent. In summation, let me say this. No one should be deprived of their constitutional right to a fair and impartial trial. Ricardo Ferrell.
Well, that was...
All right. So you guys got an opportunity to hear from Ricardo Ferrell. He's written articles in the Voice of Detroit for many of you guys. So I had an opportunity to read some of your stories. And so to our listeners, you guys can go to the Voice of Detroit and pull up articles on these gentlemen as well and learn more. I'm going to also provide links so you guys can read their articles and any other information that you have, that I have and they have, so that you can learn more about them. So you guys heard what Ricardo had to say, and he was talking about the wrongfully, convicted, and how the prosecutors don't technically want to be a part of wrongfully convicting someone. But what do you guys think about what he had to say? And we can start with you, Marvin.
Um, I don't think anyone wants to be caught doing anything wrong. But each of our faces that you're looking at today is evidence that someone or more than one person done something wrong in order to have us be an exoneree. We are evidence that not only is we dealing with a broken system, a system isn't some machine. It's ran by people. We have people making mistakes. We have people that's purposefully perpetrating things that conflict with the oaths that they stand on. In Detroit, the Detroit Police Department for many years had a culture that has led to many wrongfully convicted. Yes, we got 30 people out, but that's not even a drop in the bucket of what it really is. Like seriously, that's just a drop in the bucket of what it really is, and that's what makes us so relevant because we're trying to get as many innocent, all innocent people out of prison. But I commend Kim Worthy for the work that she's doing. She's actually leading in this country when it comes to correcting a lot of the wrongs that's been done. She's literally leading in the country when it comes to that. Wayne County is leading, and with the leadership coupled with Valerie Newman, somebody that has always been passionate about the rule of law and being ethical, leading the conviction integrity unit is really, really multiplying the work that Kim Worthy is doing in this area, in this space. But we have a lot to do. There's been a lot of wrong done. Even a lot of the detectives and people that handled a lot of our cases, some of them are still working. Some of
Okay.
them are still working. So, we have to deal with that problem because we
Yeah.
can't have bad actors that have proven that they will mess over any human being still responsible for handling cases with other human beings. That doesn't even make any sense. Um, so we have a lot of work to do, and I do believe there are good people in law enforcement that really want to see change. Some of them are helpless. Some of them feel helpless to actually bring about change. But we go around the country, and even in Michigan, we go around Michigan, and we've talked to a lot of the prosecutors, assistant prosecutors, as well as law enforcement. And there's a lot of good people that really want change and really are making efforts to change things. And we're trying to pull everybody together to really keep that momentum because we really need a lot more of it, but we really need the public to be involved. We need the public to become more interested, not only when it touches your family, but we need the public to become more interested right now before it touches your family, and maybe we can keep it from entering your home.
Right, right. And that's one of the main reasons why I have you guys on here, because it's a bringing awareness. If a person is not aware, then how can they make a educated decision? If you're not aware of what's going on, you're kind of going into something blind. But you have wonderful Black men here that is bringing awareness to you to what's going on before you go in, what happens when you go to court, like how to even prevent it from happening. But if you go through it, the things that you need to look out for and be aware of. Now, I'm going to say this. There is a lot, and I can't even put a number on how many Black men, young Black men, that I come across and on a regular basis, and something as simple as a parking ticket, right? Or a speeding ticket. When you get a speeding ticket, then you make a court date, right? And you go and you talk to the court to the judge to try to get your points lessened. You might still have to pay the fee, but you do what you have to do, to get it taken care of. Well, all of these young Black men that I meet, they are afraid to go to court. So now they're dealing with additional penalties that they may not had to deal with if they weren't afraid to go to court. They're afraid of the court system because they think if they go into the court for a parking ticket that they're never going to come out. And so, Kenneth, can you speak to that a little bit about our young Black men?
I mean, unfortunately, a part of that belief is it's true. This is the stigma that that the system has created on our communities, that there's a possibility that you can walk into a courtroom and never walk out of it. And to feed that fact, we're walking proof of it. We're actually walking, talking, living testimony of what happens when the system gets it wrong. We walked into a courtroom one day and we never walked out for decades, to no fault of our own. So that fear of the system getting it wrong is a very accurate statement, because there's that possibility that it could, and more often than not, it happens, which is why people fear walking into that courtroom. And unfortunately and sadly, it's the truth. But to go back to something you stated earlier, yeah, you're absolutely correct. We are walking, talking, living proof of what a lot of people in this country don't believe is true. So when people think about change and think about the things that need to be changed, look at us. Because those people that disagree that the system isn't broken, look at us. Tell me that these decades of my life were for nothing. Tell me that these decades that I missed out of my kids' lives were for nothing. Because when prosecutors want to make change, we're the people they should be talking to. What I've found in our experience, traveling across this country and having these conversations with people, is you have very powerful people, very influential people, making decisions that they think are appropriate for the system. The reality is none of them are going to see the consequences of that decision making. They don't know what it's like to sit in that cell. We do. They don't know what it's like when that phone call cuts off after 15 minutes. We do. They don't know what it's like when your kid's screaming on the phone, you feel completely helpless. We do. But they're making these decisions without consulting the people that these decisions affect. That's why we wear these yellow shirts. That's why we're confrontational in certain situations. That's why we're having these conversations with people, because we're the people that they need to be talking to. You can't talk to a community of people that aren't affected by these decisions. When you want to know what it looks like to sit in the cell, come talk to me. When you want to know what it looks like when you send somebody into a courtroom that might not walk out of it, come talk to me. Because we're the people that the change affects. So we're pushing ourselves onto these policymakers. We're pushing ourselves into these courtrooms. We are standing on the side of justice. It doesn't make a difference which side of that you're on. Today, we stood in the Oakland County Courthouse side by side with the prosecutor because she was on the right side of the justice. It doesn't make a difference to us what that looks like and who's on the wrong side of it. What we stand for is justice. Regardless of who disagrees, who doesn't like it, the fact is, we're what it looks like when people get it wrong.
Yes. Thank you for that. That was very well said. Very, very, very well said. We're going to take a question from the audience. That one that is on, go up from Brandy. We're going to take a question from Brandy. Brandy wants to know, how as citizens can we help to make a change? And so we're going to go to Gregory. Gregory, how can citizens help to make a change?
I mean, I believe it's through legislation. Certain legislation, maybe citizens come together and help things get changed, like the old draconian laws like felony murder, which I don't believe a person should get a natural life for, but however, certain circumstances permit that, but just a driver, man, or something like that, I don't feel he should get no natural life. Things of that nature, I think.
Okay. Do anybody want to add to that?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. We got to hold our officials accountable. And sometimes, our cries fall on deaf ears. So we got to really focus on what motivates our officials and our politicians. If they don't want to put certain legislation on the book, what do? Well, the public have to know how to turn those. We got to look at donors and who's helping them campaign, who's supporting them with their dollars. The public can turn off anybody's water at any given time. The power has always been with the people, but if the people don't know how to turn those levers, then the people are powerless. So the people really have to become educated about the issues and the things that they're interested in, get involved, and know how to really go after people when they don't do the right thing. If you have a judge that's not doing the right thing, a prosecutor, a legislator, somebody that's in authority, a mayor, go after their donors, go after the dollar.
Yeah. So
I definitely echo that.
We're going to take another question from Martha. And Larry, I want you to answer that one. Martha says, Martha Lett, how do we get in contact with your organization or how to donate to your organization? Can you tell us, Larry?
Currently, we are applying for a 501(c) so that we can be a nonprofit. Most people, they donate to us. They find out information about us through our personal websites. We do have a card that we will post with information where you can contact us through social media. We use Cash App. We take cash donations. Right now, we just been freelancing and getting assistance in order to build this nonprofit. Okay. But Larry Darnell Smith Jr. and October 14th, we'll be in Lansing at the Capitol. It'll be a rally. It'll be 85 groups combined. The National Organization of Exonerees will be there. The NLA, National Lifers Association, and 84 other organizations are putting this on. And you can come out from 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock, and you can learn a lot. You can come out and support if you know somebody locked up. It's going to be a lot of legislators there, a lot of people from that profession. And we got a keynote speaker is a prosecutor, Carol Seaman. We have, it's just a host of people going to be there. And that's a way that you can find out about us. Follow us through social media and come down to the rally October 14th. It's going to be lit. We're going to show up and show out.
All right. That's going to be fantastic. So I want everybody to show up to the rally. We'll make sure that we post the information in the comments section and also post it in the link so that people can find you guys and go to your website or to your social media to stay in contact with you. I want to play this last part from Ricardo, and then we're going to take some comments. And then I want you guys to give some inspirational. So think about something inspirational that you're going to give to the audience. Go ahead.
Get on your blog. And the name of that title of that article is Wrongfully Convicted and Unlawfully in Prison. Michigan ranks second in the U.S. with exonerations. In the past 3-4 years, we've seen many wrongfully convicted people get exonerated, like Richard Phillips, who served 45 years and released in 2018. Fedora Watkins served 42 years, released in 2017. Gilbert Poole served 33 years, released in 2021, and he became the first to be exonerated through the work of the Attorney General Dana Nassel Statewide Conviction Integrity Unit, headed by Assistant Attorney General Robin Frankel. Ramon Ward served 27 years, released in 2020. Lucino Hamilton served 27 years, was released in 2020 as well. Bernard Howard served 27 years, was released in 2018. And he's working to help at-risk youth. Larry Smith served 26 years. He was released this year as well. He's attending classes to obtain higher education. He advocates for other innocent people as well. Desmond Rick served 25 years. He was released in 2017 as well. Linda Sturman, she served 10 years, was released in 2018. And what I kind of find kind of striking and was kind of proud of with her, she once taught herself the law. She didn't know anything about the law, but she taught herself the law, filed a habeas corpus that was granted in federal district court, and she was since released. Aaron Salters, he served 16 years. He was released in 2018, and he used some of the money that he got out of the compensation fund, which gives you $50,000 for each year that you was wrongly convicted, to create Innocence Maintained, a project helping those wrongly convicted. Gregory Barry, he served 17 years. He was released in 2020. Recently received his CDLs and looking to start a career in truck driving. Kenneth Nixon, he served 15 years. He was released this year too. He has joined a group of other innocent men and women in a group called the National Organization of Exonerees. And the list goes on and on. But what really made me, like I was saying earlier, what really made me start focusing on writing about those wrongfully convicted and unlawfully in prison, I had a friend who got locked up around the same time as I did back in 1981, and he never made it out. He died before he was able to prove his innocence. So I always think about him whenever I cover these stories. Nowadays, you have the Michigan Innocent Clinic, the Thomas Cooley Innocent Project, the Wayne County Conviction Integrity Unit, the Statewide Conviction Integrity Unit, and the newly established.
All right. So that was I have some more that we'll play for Ricardo later. But I wanted to play that because Ricardo was mentioning other inmates that awareness needs to be brought to, or have already been exonerated. And I want, because somebody could be in there and they could, someone forgot about them. And so I want to always acknowledge people. I want people to know that you're not lost, you're not forgotten. And so if somebody watches this podcast and they hear your name, perhaps that they can, reach out and help you if you're still on the inside, to help you get out, because it takes more than just one person to help you get out. Correct, fellas? Like, you need a whole team of attorneys.
You need a squad. Yes, you need a team. You need a team.
True.
You need your family
but it can
writing
start with that
letters.
one person.
Yes,
It definitely
absolutely.
starts with one person.
Absolutely. We have we did have a question from a audience member, Deandra. She had wanted to know who can she reach out to get help on her boyfriend's case, a lawyer or a PI.
Interesting. I can't tell you personally, somebody to contact, because since I've been out here, I deal with Anthony Legion. When I had legal questions, I contact Anthony Legion at H Law. He come from the side of the bunk straight to society, putting it down. I deal with Jared Adams. He's an attorney. He represented me for my civil suit against the city. Mary Owens, she represented me to get me out of prison. But when I talk to these lawyers, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't hear very many lawyers talking about breaking bread for pro bono. I don't hear them talk very much about reading anything. It's just about the paper. Daryl Seegers wrote a book about his experience over the years with attorneys and appeal system. So I'll start out by telling you, Ms. Deandra Woolfolk, get Daryl Seegers' book, in hopes that can lead you in the right direction. You can inbox me, and I'll personally talk with some lawyers with you. You put together a summary of what his experience is, what they found him guilty, and what evidence that you have that will free him. And you inbox me, then maybe I could walk through the steps with you. But I wouldn't put you in the hands of no attorney, because I don't trust them.
Okay. Well, thank you for that information. So what I want to do, Larry, I don't know where the other guys went, but I want you to tell them how can they reach you on social media, and I want you to give a word of encouragement, and then we're going to go to Gregory so that he can do the same. And for those of you all who do not know, this was a 2-part podcast. So I know you're saying we want to get all the meat and potatoes and get all the answers. But when we come back for part 2, which is next Tuesday at 8 p.m., we're going to provide you with some more information, very encouraging information, people that you can reach out to, some of the help that you can receive. We're going to hear another part of these gentlemen's stories so that you guys are aware, and able to bring awareness to other people. So again, Larry, tell them how they can reach you on social media, and I want you to give something encouraging to leave them with.
You can reach me on Facebook or Instagram, Larry Smith, butter in parentheses. You can reach Marvin Cotton Jr. on Facebook, and you can reach Kenneth Nixon on Facebook. That's ways you can reach us. And as far as inspiration, hey, look at me. I was sitting on the side of the bunk. I gotta be honest, I wasn't a very good rule taker, but I came from the side of the bunk, and I've been on fire. And I'm saying that you can come off the side of the bed and you can be on fire too. If you need some motivation, then all you got to do is just tune in. We're going to show you everything that you need, because a lot of people haven't been seeing it. You don't know what it looked like. You don't even believe in yourself. And I'm telling you that I believe in you, and I believe in you to make good decisions. I think that you can do something that you don't think that you can do. And then if you don't believe, then inbox me, and I talk to you, and I help you walk through that path, because people help me, and I'm just grateful. And that's the best I can tell you. Be yourself, love yourself, and in the process of that, love others. Treat people like you want to be treated, and put it down like you want to pick it up.
All right now, okay. I'm loving that, Larry. I'm loving that. And you are absolutely correct. Treat others like you want to be treated. And when you always say I love reciprocity, right? What you put out in the atmosphere is what you get back. So if you put negativity out, guess what you're going to get back? Negativity. So we're going to go on over to Marvin. Marvin, I want you to leave them from part one with something encouraging that that could just really motivate somebody that's going through something or going through a situation that they can't figure out how to get out of. Connection with you. We can't really hear you. We got a bad connection. We're gonna let you fix it, and then I'll bring you back on. We're gonna go over to Kenneth while you work on your connection. Bring okay. So Kenneth, we want you to, while Marvin get his connection together, we want you to leave our audience with something encouraging so that when we come back for part two, we're ready to get it together. We're ready to help somebody. Like, we're going to go deeper than what we went today.
I would say my advice, my suggestion would be never give up. If it ever gets to a point where you feel like you want to give up, look at us. All of us, every last one of us, were literally buried alive. They put us in a box and told us to die at every turn we came to. Every opportunity we had a chance to prove our innocence, and they told us to die in prison. We never gave up. So I don't think it gets much worse than that. So if you're looking for any words of encouragement, just Google our names. We're walking encouragement because we didn't die in that place. We never gave up. We never quit. Never give up. It's just not an option.
Wow, that's fantastic, because that is one of my mottos that I live by when I started this company. The company is called One Step Beyond You. It's like when life comes at you, when things come your way, when you turn the right cheek, something hits you on the right cheek, you turn to the left, something hits you on the left cheek, but you cannot give up. You have to continue to keep taking the next step. You don't have to take a whole lot of steps. Sometimes it just takes that first step. And when you take that first step, then God makes provisions for you to see those other steps. So you are absolutely correct. Never give up. Just keep pushing when you can't push anymore. So we're going to go on over to Gregory. And Gregory, I want you to give our audience something inspirational so that they can take away from part one of today's podcast.
Yeah, I say the same thing. Never give up. Keep fighting. You believe it, you can achieve it, and you can do whatever you put your mind to, man. We walk in testaments of it. So that's the words of encouragement I got.
Okay. Thank you for those words of encouragement. So we seem to have Marvin back. So Marvin, we're going to bring you on so that you can leave with the words of encouragement.
I'm sorry, it's kind of storming where I'm at real bad. So, but I guess that's a great segue, because you may be going through a storm in your life, and you're going to be all right. I started my company Better Not Broken LLC because I came out of prison better and not broken. I don't believe that anyone is what they've been through. You can go through some horrible things, and a lot of people do. But you can always be better than the situations that you've been through. You don't have to become what somebody else have done to you. You don't have to become them. You don't have to become even a byproduct of the things that they've done to you. You can choose to be better. You can use that experience and use that opposition to actually become a better person than you were before you even experienced that situation. So what I like to leave with your audience is, don't become what you've been through.
All right, now I like that. Don't become what you've been through, because sometimes many of us can be in certain environments that may not be the best for us. But if you rise above and overcome and go beyond your environment, right? You don't have to have the same experiences. Our parents always say, "I want you to be better than me." Or don't do as I say, right? Don't do as I do, but do as I say. And that's what we want everybody to do better than us. We want to keep striving. If you're in a situation where it just seems tough, we want you to keep striving. Listen, you guys, you know, I had set the podcast for 1 hour, and we went over a little bit. So I thank you guys, everybody, for joining us on part 1. So next week, Tuesday at 8 p.m. on Erica Lynn Speaks podcast, we're going to have part 2 of Speaking with the Exonerees. And in part 2, we're going to get a little bit deeper. We're going to discuss some of the laws. We're going to discuss some things that you guys that we did not cover here, because we knew that this subject was going to be longer than 1 hour. So we're going to do a part 2. And if you guys have any questions that you want to ask the Exonerees, put them in the comment section. We'll make sure we get them answered for you on the next podcast. So thank you guys so much for coming on Erica Lynn Speaks podcast.
No problem.
I really, really appreciate you. And make sure you guys follow them on all of their social media. The links will be in the comments section, and you guys can follow me on Erica Lynn Speaks podcast. But guess what? Always remember to take one step beyond you. God bless. This podcast was brought to you by EricaLynnSpeaks.com. Sign up for your free consultation today at EricaLynnSpeaks.com/work with me. And just remember, it only takes just one step beyond
beyond you. I say Erica Lynn Speaks.